Hello again, and this is Jeffrey with part two of Onpassive and the AI game state. In part one, we talked a little bit about the overture, or rather the theme within this series, and we talked about the Asian game Go and the challenge match between it and AlphaGo and the outcome of that particular match. And we spoke a little bit about going into China's plans and aspirations for the future. And so that actually brings us to part two, which we've entitled The Next Gen Plan for Global AI Dominance. China, going back a little bit, was one of the onlookers for that game of Go, the challenge match with Google. And China is only too familiar with that game, a whole lot more than we are here in the Western world, anyway. And that's due in large part because China's population is not only aware of the game, but man, they take it really, really seriously. Um, I keep thinking of the game in reference to our Super Bowl because I don't know, how else to explain the magnitude of that game for that culture. But they take it very, very seriously and do so much that some would even consider it to be a sacred game. And they really believe that that game is one that connects us humans to the universe and connects us all together. And that's a jump. However, all that being said, it is the world's most complex game. So, as a result of how seriously the Chinese respect this game and how completely they understood the ramifications of AlphaGo's, how do I say, algorithmic prowess, I guess. Move 37 of Game 2 served as a wake up call to the strategy, at least for China, that birthed and then solidified their quest for AI domination. And yeah, you think of world domination, you tend to think of historically leaked phrases from a maniacal mind or something of old dictators or wars or movies, but let me tell you something. Despite that, in 2018, July of 2018 in particular, China actually came out with a written plan. I mean, they put it together, put it in writing, that they called the Next Generation AI Development Plan. Now, with that plan, the Chinese government literally put the world on notice, written notice, of its twofold intention to catch up with America's AI capability by 25, that's intention one, and to globally dominate the AI space by 2030, intention two. Yeah, they put it in writing and they were off to the races. So, if truth be told, I'm telling you what, China has been doing a real good job of executing on that plan ever since. And their accomplishments are nothing short of amazing. They have literally, I just say wow as we get into this and explain some of it. I mean, there's never been a country that has moved so fast in particular pursuit of any endeavor like they have with AI. It took about 2.5 years for China's implementation to go from minimal activity with barely any kind of a hoof print. I use hoof print because unicorns. um, so they went from barely having any hoof print at all to literally tight fisting the reins on a small herd of unicorns. Almost 20 newly formed billion-dollar AI companies. Now, think about that. That is almost 20. I'll say 18 to be sure. But that's 18. So that means every month and a half they came out with a unicorn. I mean, man alive. That is fast paced. Meanwhile, Now, just keep that in that thought in your head, because at the same time, China had ramped up, and I mean full tilt boogie, toward the development of AI. Onpassive had by this time pierced the conceptual barrier, at least, of a brand new and distinct business model, and that was Mr. Mufara's Onpassive. He expected to disrupt the internet marketing space with it, and it's absolutely revolutionary. It's got a groundbreaking business solution, and at the same time, which again was back in 2018, that's when 2.5 years after AlphaGo, in 2018, that Mr. Mufara introduced the GoFounders platform as the first line leader community for Onpassive. Now, the business and the business solution represent an incredibly dynamic new age platform that's powered by Onpassive's own, they've written it, proprietary AI coursing through its processes, through its architecture. But the new Chinese companies, they were powered by a new generation of ambitious young techs that had been graduating by the droves from Chinese universities, and they were funded by a new breed of Chinese venture capitalists. So you can see that this AI is spawning new breeds of everything as you move into it. Its requirement is fast-paced development, which requires new methods and means of supporting that fast pace in development. So you're coming up with paradigm shifts all over the place. And the new breed of capitalists, they used the new techs that were coming out, they used them against each other to develop the newest and most innovative ideas in AI. And that served to push the AI domination agenda forward, I mean, at light speed. And let me tell you, it worked, and it's still working. So my hat's off to our entrepreneurial Chinese brothers and sisters, man. They're companies that, believe it or not, started as copycat startups, right? From, they were mirroring the AI startups and technology of the Western world, the U.S. in particular. But their companies developed their own entrepreneurial style that was resolute, and amazingly fast. These guys were on top of it. Adding massive momentum to those two things, the fact that they were determined and quick, they had an unbelievable work ethic, and their mindset was winner take all. And we're taking it all, and we're the ones on top, and we'll stay on top. So we're now seeing firsthand that they are an absolutely powerful force with a drive and aptitude for aggressively researching and developing data collection that fuels their own AI applications and their agendas. So let's parallel this a little bit. These are the same characteristics, the same qualities that we see in Onpassive, as Onpassive gained momentum in the latter part of 2018. Okay, there were a lot of us around then. I think that going from 2018 into 2019, we probably had in the neighborhood of 8 to 10,000. Maybe that might be a little high. 8 to 10,000 founders, but we were already gaining momentum back then, and it was so much so that Mr. Mufara, who incidentally had been motivated by past experiences that he had gotten from companies, that he'd worked with companies that just really seemed to have no moral compass, seemed to have a total lack of ethics. But he developed, Mr. Mufara, he developed his own style of entrepreneurial prowess, okay? To his credit, Onpassive is not only resolute and courageous, it's also endowed with an unparalleled ethical standard, just like the Chinese came up with, and Mr. Mufara was doing this on his own on the other side of the world. So, wow. And just like the Chinese had a winner-take-all mental attitude, the resilient attitude with that as a theme. Mr. Mufara had a do it or die mindset, and we've all heard him say this. We're going to do this or die. This there ain't no turning back. We are doing this or we are crashing and burning, and that is that. And I praise God that we didn't crash and burn, because I'm telling you, this has been quite a ride. It's been something great to watch. But anyway, his do or die mindset, it crushed all the risk factors. I mean, it mitigated every one of them. It alleviated or lessened them one by one. And because of that, he set up what I just term as an unwavering expectation of phenomenal success. Under his leadership, all of these characteristics are woven deeply into the fabric of Onpassive. Okay, and that's a fabric of it's a mesh of heart and high tech. And I'm telling you what, it's something to behold, and we are moving. I mean, we are really moving forward on this. We're at a point right now where we're at, I don't know, 50,000 founders, and we're looking at the platform for the GoFounders community to shift to the upgrade, and then we're looking at non-disclosures, and then we're looking at email campaigns, and then we're looking at launch, and things are happening pretty quickly. So I'm going to leave it here for now. I think I'm about out of time, but I could keep right on talking because I love this. However, next time, part 3, we're going to be using some of our information that we've gotten from China, and we're going to talk about the new uses for the new tech. And I thank you so much, and I appreciate you listening, and I hope you have an absolutely phenomenal day.